Good morning and welcome to the USA Cares podcast. Matt Castor, and I am joined today with the CEO and president of USA Cares, Mr. Trace Chesser. Good morning, Trace.
Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Very good. And we've got another special guest for the first time on the podcast, Miss Alison Hedges. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. We've got a fun episode today. We're going to be talking about chapters of USA Cares around the country, and I'm excited to be here with you guys. So this will be a good conversation. I kind of wish that everybody could hear the conversation right before the podcast, because that's really
That's the part they should have recorded.
Oh man,
For
we
sure.
had some good topics going there right before this kicked on.
Yep.
But that was good. So Trace, what's going on with you?
Lots and lots of things. All kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on at USA
There is
Cares.
a lot going on. We just had some great golf events that occurred, and golf event. I'm sorry. Had a Ohio golf event that Alison's chapter, the Ohio chapter, led, and then we got the Valhalla golf event that's coming up.
Oh, it's coming up soon. July 19th. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an exciting one.
Yeah.
That is
That's
good.
a big deal. And Texas.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that was huge. And we're going to touch on that in a second for sure. Yeah.
In all of your traveling, frequent flyer miles.
Well, you're sending me all over the place. I don't know that I got any frequent flyer miles. I need to call and check on that.
Yeah, you do.
Trace, before we kick in, I don't think we've devoted an episode to the chapters program. Would you, for people who are kind of new to this, would you just talk through what we're talking about? What is this program?
Well, quickly, just, the fact of a lot of people have heard it, but those that have not heard about our mission, USA Care, started in 2003, the big surge going back into Iraq. A lot of people coming back injured, a lot of people coming back with challenges that really, it was unfortunate. And so through the efforts of a local TV station, Wave 3, Kroger's, and then Fort Knox, they all started selling yard signs and raised a lot of money, realized that people were very compassionate towards service members and veterans. And that's where USA Cares started. So the mission of USA Cares is to assist our post 9/11 military members, our veterans, our Guard, our Reserve, and their families in times of need. Help them with financial assistance, and then the post-service skills training to help sustain it, not just patch the wound, but actually sustain them.
And that need keeps evolving, doesn't it?
Keeps evolving.
And especially through COVID. Talk about that for a second. How did it change through COVID?
So with COVID, like everyone, we had issues with people lost jobs, and it could have been that the companies started losing money because they lost customers, or manufacturers couldn't get parts in. All different types of factors. I don't want to go into all that. I'm going down a rabbit trail there. But the fact that a lot of people lost their jobs caused more hardship on our veterans and our service members. And they started going through evictions and foreclosures. Even though there's a moratorium on eviction and foreclosures, still a lot of people were evicted. And so we saw a spike around April, May last year. That we started seeing a 60% increase over our normal request. And I'll tell you, historically, we've tried to track it and come up with an average, but a ballpark average of people reaching out to us, applications, calls, and everything, we get about 200 requests per week from all over the country saying, hey, I'm in trouble, need help. So with COVID, we had a 60% spike. And so then a lot of other organizations started asking us to help out. So
it's not just a Kentucky problem, that's for sure. And you see huge need coming out of places like California and Texas and Florida and Virginia, and the need is just growing and growing. And Alison, that's where you come in. That's where your chapters program that you're in charge of is taking off. Talk for a minute about how this is taking off. Is it growing quickly? What areas are you seeing growth? And just talk about it for a minute.
It is. I do believe that it's growing, and there is a large interest across the country now of what is USA Cares about and how they can be involved and help. And so that's where we've started some of these chapters. You guys mentioned the first 2 events that we've just done. Those are brand new chapters. They just started in January. So Texas and Ohio, they just basically said, hey, we want to help.
And they're already
what
knocking
can we
it
do?
out. Yeah.
They are. They've already raised a lot of money, and that's helping a lot of veterans.
What's amazing to me is that we can say ask the question, who would be willing to run a chapter in a city, work really hard to pull people in, raise a lot of money, and oh, by the way, this is a volunteer job.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. The good hearts that are out there, and these people want to do this and help out.
Absolutely. And a lot of them, there are a few here and there that have no affiliation to anyone in the military. They just have that need and that desire to go out and help.
Incredible. And the Texas event was a good example of that. What a great showing.
My gosh.
Although the venue didn't hurt.
Exactly.
Talk
True
about that
Texas
for a minute.
style.
What was that about?
That one was true Texas style. So they called this event Operation Trace Bravo, and which stood for bullets, bourbon, and barbecue. Only Texas could pull off something big like that.
Absolutely. That's fun. Trace, you get to eat barbecue, blow stuff up, and sip some bourbon. That's not a bad day.
Well, I started to say, what's better than that?
Yeah, exactly.
I challenge anyone out there to email us or whatever. What's better than that?
So I attended this event, and I got to see pure joy from a gentleman who walked into the gun range, was handed a fully automatic weapon, and just let loose.
Yeah.
The smile on his face. He said that was the most fun thing I've ever done. So it's fun. But, these chapters will have events, and they will have events that are truly unique to those areas. Cincinnati, they did something pretty cool, right?
They really did. They pulled off a great golf event in a beautiful golf course. Brought in a lot of volunteers. They did a great job. It was and it was a beautiful day too. We had to thank Mother Nature for that.
Absolutely, yeah. Big thanks to James Clark for all of his hard work.
He worked really hard.
Absolutely. So now we talked about Texas, we talked about Ohio. What are some other areas of the country that may be emerging or may be coming soon that people, let's say if they're listening in these areas and they want to get involved, what are some of those areas that are about to explode?
Well, we can talk about first our chapter that has been long existing, our Missouri Southern Illinois chapter.
Yeah.
They've actually got 3. One of them is a smaller event, and then they've got 2 bigger ones later on this year that they're already planning and they've got going on. And then we've got a brand new chapter in DC, and those guys they're looking for that event now. They're looking for someone, a venue that will actually help them out.
Yeah.
And they're really taking off. And then we've got the Michigan chapter that's been long lasting. They're looking at doing some things. And then we've got a brand new Colorado chapter.
Yeah.
That one I'm excited about that
Denver,
one.
right?
Right. I've never been to Denver. I can't wait to go up there.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Looking forward to that
It is,
one.
yeah.
So we've got a lot of good things coming up. And then we've got our California chapter that was existing before and has just reactivated themselves. And that's in the San Diego area.
Yeah, that'd be a nice one. I may need to go visit that one.
I might have to come with
maybe
you.
in the winter.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that sounds
a great
pretty
time.
nice. And then hopefully, some more around California, right?
Yes, we actually have an interest from a gentleman in Los Angeles that has been talking about helping us out.
Yep.
So yeah,
Well, good.
not a bad place either.
Oh my goodness, Trace, this is amazing. And I think, did you ever think in your time with USA Cares you would see these pockets popping up all over the country like this?
Well, I'd sure hope so.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I mean, that was something that if I go back and think about some of the members of the board, myself sitting down and talking strategy for our mission to try to help, because more and more service members keep coming to us, and veterans. I say service members, just know I mean that, and veterans. But more people in need, and it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge, and the only way to do that is to grow. And the only way to grow, I believe, because we're not going to spend the money our donors give us on high dollar commercials. We're just not. We're not gonna be all over Fox News. Well, wait a minute. hold on. Sorry. I'll let you get back to that. We're not going to advertise on Fox News and spend, thousands of dollars per commercial. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I just realized I said that. But
So why is that funny, Trace? We just hit a stumbling block, and I just gave you a dirty look and threw my hands in the air. Why did I do that?
Well, I realized it after I said it that it's kind of a surprise. But
Yeah.
And finishing the other part, the only way we can grow, and we can't spend the money like a normal business. We can't
Right.
spend. We don't have a marketing budget that's hundreds of thousands. We don't.
Right.
So the way to do it is to get people who think like us, that want to help people, and then grow it through the chapters. And and I've said it 100 times. You get a chapter, I don't care what you do. Go out there and do something, have an event of some sort so people know you exist. And just make something happen, because then people get excited.
Well, and it's so important, veterans and spouses of veterans. Allison, you're a spouse of a veteran, and Trace, you're a veteran. You all know the community.
Yes.
You can speak the language. You kind of understand how it works.
Yeah.
For somebody like me who's not necessarily been around it, my assumption is always that there's nothing really I can do. That's what these chapters, to me, that's part of the reason they're so important, because it's raising awareness that there are problems that exist and there is something we can do about it.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Yeah.
So I hope that just continues to spread.
Well,
I'll try not to yell at you anymore on this podcast.
that's okay. We need both. We need the military or the veteran community, because they understand the veterans and they can help in a different way. We need those that maybe didn't serve and they're in business. They have the ability. There are a lot of very generous people out there.
Yeah.
People that are very successful want to give back. I mean, I've seen it 100 times. And this is a way. We met a gentleman in Ohio that works for a very large law firm.
Right.
And he wants to give back and he wants to help. And then he let it out at the last second. Oh, by the way, I'm an Air Force veteran. So I was like, okay, well, there you go. He's both.
Wow. Yeah,
He's
there you
both.
go.
That's cool. So, Allison, if let's say somebody's listening and they think, boy, that'd be cool to be a part of a chapter like that, but I'm in, let's say, Arizona, and there is nothing going on here right now. How hard is it to start a chapter?
It's really not hard at all.
Really? Because it sounds a little overwhelming. It can
does
be a
sound
little
overwhelming.
intimidating. What would somebody need to do if they don't have one in their area? They want to get one going. What do they do?
What they need to do is just contact me.
There you
That's
go.
an easy way to do it. They can do that through
Yeah.
through just sending me an email, a simple one, or calling our office.
Yeah.
And we explain what it is. We can get them going. All they have to do is sign a little piece of paper that says, I have a letter of an intent to
Yeah.
start a chapter. And then we will help them find people to join their chapter.
Awesome. And yeah, it's not as overwhelming as it
It
seems.
really
And,
isn't.
it's really all about raising awareness and getting, we use events to get people together.
Yeah.
And to be able to share stories and videos. And even in Texas, we had the chance to get Brian Anderson there.
Yeah.
Brian's story is incredible.
Yeah.
A gentleman who's a triple amputee from his service in Iraq, who's come back and just the most upbeat and happy person, and just willing to share his story and talk about the reality of being a veteran and some of the hardships that can come with it. So,
Absolutely.
Allison, what you bring to the table is so important, because you can allow somebody to start that new chapter, walk them through the whole process, and just help them every step of the way so that they can serve their community.
Well, and that's what that is our goal, is to keep things as simple as possible.
Yeah.
These people are volunteers. They've got their own life. A lot of them have their own jobs, full-time jobs at that. They've got
Yeah.
kids. They don't need to spend every minute of every day thinking about what they have to do with a chapter. So that's where we step in and we help them along the way with every piece that they need. So even if it's graphics for a fundraiser that they have coming up, if it's putting things out on social media. We help them with all of that.
Absolutely. We had Josh Kirby on not too long ago. He's doing a great job
He's
with
great.
creating those graphics and putting those videos together.
So creative.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got all the tools to help people out for sure.
I wanted to try to explain to anybody out there that's thinking about starting a chapter or has that in the back of their mind. If you go back to what we do with career transition, we help people that are going through a transition that's never transitioned before out of the military. And we help them, we coach them, we point them in the right direction, and we help them get through that. This is the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
It's not like I've had 100 jobs. So how am I an expert in career transition?
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that I've watched 1,000 people go through it. And you are doing that with the chapters. You've watched all of them. So it's not like you have to know everything about that. It's more the fact a lot of times you're going to do what I do in career transition. You're going to tell people, oh, don't do that because I've seen people do it before and it doesn't work. But this over here works well. So I think you're going to be able to do the exact same thing.
Well, and the fun thing is all of these areas are also different.
Yeah.
And so each chapter looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it kind of fun and exciting.
Yeah. And every chapter can tag along with the events that we have through our headquarters in Louisville. They can tag along with those events. So right now we've got, for instance, the Keep Your Distance 5K.
Right.
Where people can run a virtual 5K. It doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
It doesn't matter when you run it. Just register and get involved and run your race.
And each of these chapters, actually, as you go to sign up for the run, you can sign up for your chapter team.
Yeah. And, we've got other national campaigns coming up at the end of May is the Hardee's and Carl's Jr. Stars for Heroes. Woo. Trace, talk about that.
That's massive.
That's big.
Really is.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
For 8 years, it may be 9. COVID's really got me thrown off. I'm sorry. So they have been doing Stars for Heroes, and that's when you go into a Hardee's or a Carl's Jr., depending where you are in the country, and you go up to the counter or through the drive-thru, and you order your food, and they say, hey, do you want to buy a Star for a Hero? And then you say, yes, of course. And then you give them an extra $1. And then they take that and they divide that up amongst us and another organization. And then at the end of the campaign, we receive half of those funds. And so
that's awesome.
And
big thanks to Hardee's on that. That's amazing.
Well,
They're
people
a great
think
group of people.
Yeah, people think, is that a big deal? Well, I will tell you, 2019, when I went to all the conferences and met with them, that group raised over $550,000.
Unbelievable.
Over $550,000. So if you're a Hardee's or Carl's Jr. employee, thank you so much for doing that, because you're there on the front line actually talking to the customers.
And if you're somebody going out to eat and you're trying to think about where to go, consider the companies that are supporting your veterans.
Yeah.
Consider the companies that are willing to say, we're going to give a portion of our proceeds back. Yeah. And instead of, you're going out to eat anyway, you're gonna buy food anyway.
Yeah.
Go support the companies that are supporting your veterans.
Yep.
So, one other thing I wanted to mention, also working alongside these chapters, we have another company that has stepped up, raised their hand in the air and say, we want to help.
Right.
And that's Cruise Customs.
It is.
So what's going on, Allison? I'll pick on you. What's going on with Cruise Customs?
We really like him. He's a great guy. So he's a veteran himself.
Yeah.
And he makes these beautiful flags.
Yeah.
He makes other things too, but he makes flags. And he hires only veterans as well. And they make these beautiful flags. And in the month of May, they're actually giving 15% back to USA Cares.
And they're wooden flags, right?
Yes. They're
Bourbon
gorgeous.
barrel.
Bourbon barrel
They're
flags.
bourbon barrel flags.
They're beautiful.
And you know what he says about that?
What's that?
Like that the service members, they served a great purpose at one point, and now they've moved on as veterans. And Bourbon Barrel served a great purpose, to hold the bourbon. And so they're repurposing, is what he says.
Yeah,
we're repurposing the bourbon barrels and making them into these flags, just like we're repurposing our veterans and giving them a new cause.
I think that's amazing. He's got this shop where they build these, and I hear veterans talk about when they come out of the military, kind of missing that camaraderie,
Right.
that togetherness, that brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever that is. And this kind of gives them a little bit of that back, right?
Yeah, it's loss of sense of purpose.
Yeah.
That's actually, I hear that quite often from the VA and some other groups. You had this job, this mission, you were on a team, you had a great cause that you were working towards. And then suddenly you're out
Yeah.
and you're back in the civilian sector. And so now you have to find your new purpose. And that's the biggest stumbling block for most veterans. That's what we see a lot.
Right.
Housing, whatever. I mean, the biggest thing that we do, we prevent, well, I don't want to say we prevent. We reduce the factors that contribute to veteran suicide. So in a sense, prevent suicide.
Take those stressors away from them, right? Yeah.
And we've met many of these veterans that are actually working with Chris Cruz, and they are so happy and they love what they're doing, and they found that repurpose.
Absolutely. So if you wanted to check out these awesome flags, you can go to cruisecustomflags.com, cruisecustomsflags.com, and check them out. And just know that 15% of the proceeds from that flag that you order will go right to USA Cares and goes right to supporting veterans. So 82 cents of every dollar that you give to USA Cares goes directly towards the programs which support our veterans. So check it out today. Pretty amazing company doing amazing things. So,
is this where we share the other news that I let the cat out of the bag, or we wait? Oh, we can wait again.
We can
I just occasionally like to throw it out there. You can wait.
I mean,
throw your
it's
hands
out
up
there
again?
now. This is like a living room conversation. So, we can talk about it.
I didn't know if you wanted to keep the listeners in
No,
suspense.
go ahead. Go ahead, Trace.
No, you go ahead.
You're going down this road. No, I insist. We're going down this road. You go right ahead.
You brought it up in the first
You
place,
brought it
Trace.
up. I'll let you do it.
All right, so Chris is doing this. He's raising the funds.
Right.
He's going to donate 15% to us, and it's such a great story about Chris. We were on the local news. They shared a lot of stories about what Chris is doing, what USA Cares is doing together, and we shared that information with Fox News, on the national Fox News in New York, and they've asked us to be on. And it's not just a 30-second thing. Chris is going to make a flag on Fox News.
Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, no pressure.
We're going to be here.
No pressure,
doing
Chris.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so they're going to go from New York to the shop there, and we're all going to be there. And he's going to make that flag.
That's so cool.
And every hour they're going to come back and check on him for a few hours.
That's really fun.
It
People
is
get
fun.
to actually see how that is made.
Yeah.
So we'll be on there, barring breaking news getting in the way. We'll be on there. That's exciting.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is. And I'm especially happy for Chris.
Yeah,
He's going to be he's the focal point.
Yeah.
And what he's doing to help other veterans. It's just we're partnered with him and we actually execute that intent.
And I always love to hear the stories of how companies like that start. And I know Chris and Amber fairly. I've gotten to know them fairly well. And she asked him one Christmas time to make a wooden flag.
Yeah.
And kind of the Kentucky roots of bourbon, taking a bourbon barrel and his military service, and kind of combining those things. So he kind of made it for fun, and people wanted them, and it's grown from there. So, Chris, we look forward to seeing you on Fox and Friends. So getting back to the chapters, Allison, I think we're at like 6 chapters active right now. Is that right?
We've got 5 fully active.
5. Okay.
Michigan is kind of they're
Regrouping.
kind of in a little they're in a little bit of a transition.
Which
but
happens.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, absolutely, it happens. Indiana's doing the same thing.
Right.
We do have up in northern Indiana.
Okay.
So they're still working on finding a few more chapter members to get theirs going again.
Right.
And then we also have Florida. We haven't mentioned
Oh
Florida
my
yet.
goodness. Talk about Florida.
We've actually got a couple of different areas where we've had some people step forward and say, "I'd love to be involved."
So let's challenge some people right now in Florida. Let's get this going.
And I would love for this to all happen because one of them's all the way down in southern Florida. We're talking about
So wait a minute, Trace.
Palm Beach area.
She's not at all interested in the chapters right now. She's thinking about going down to
Well,
these
I'm
events
just
down in
thinking-
southern Florida. That's
You've
what I'm
already
hearing.
claimed you're going to California. You can't
No,
go to
she said-
California.
She
and
said
No, I want Colorado.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I will step up
I
and
was
go to
thinking
Southern
LA.
California.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that one. Yeah.
Well, I have family in Miami, so I'll go there and stay with them.
Oh, darn.
I guess
got
you're out
kicked.
on that one.
Yeah.
So,
Well, okay, then I'll go to the one that's we were talking to a gentleman in the Orlando area.
Well, there
Can
you
I go
go.
there?
yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me think about it.
But we need people. We need people in these areas. You know, those big four: California, Texas, Florida, and Virginia. I'm going to keep saying those 4 states,
Right.
Because those have the most veterans, right, Trace?
That in North Carolina. Did you say North Carolina?
No,
North Carolina,
North Carolina's
too.
big.
Oh, huge.
it's big.
I mean, Fort Bragg is massive. I mean,
Yes,
it's
it is.
huge. And then you've got Paris. No, that's South Carolina. What is the North Carolina? There's a Marine base there.
Ooh.
Is that Lejeune?
Camp Lejeune. I think it's, yeah.
That's
yeah.
the Marine
North
base
Carolina.
there.
I
Yeah.
think that's in
Yeah,
North Carolina.
and there's some naval groups that are there on
Yep.
the coast. So I mean,
There's
it's
a lot.
that's a huge veteran state.
Fort Bragg itself is huge.
Yeah,
So
it's a city.
if you're out there
It
and
is.
you're in one of these states and you're listening, we're not asking a lot of you. We're just asking you to get involved. We're asking you to, if there's not a chapter there, start asking questions. Contact Alison. Ask, how can I get involved? You can always learn more from our website, usacares.org. You can find Alison's contact information on there, I believe, right?
Yes, you can. Under the chapters section.
Yep.
Probably under the About Us.
Or it's Alison at usacares.org. You can send her an email. 1 L.
One
Don't
L.
put 2 L's in there. She gets very angry. She gets really upset. She doesn't like
Well,
the 2 L's.
the problem is the email won't get to me if they put 2 L's in
That's
there.
true.
That's a problem.
We probably need to set up an email with 2 L's just in
a
case.
default.
Yeah. That's a little sidebar, but don't be afraid. Don't say, "Oh my gosh, I've got so much going on in my life. I really don't have time for this." We'll customize it to fit your schedule. We will make it work for you. We just want you to be involved.
Absolutely. And we'll help you the
Yeah.
whole way through.
Yep.
So definitely reach out, ask questions. If you know veterans, if you know veterans that really need assistance, if you know people who just need somebody to talk to, they need somebody, they're in a tough spot, share our information with them, get them involved, and let us help however we can.
Right. No, that's the key thing. You know, you could go to our website and go under the section to find the volunteers.
Yeah.
And you could, I mean, even if you're not sure about a chapter, if you want to volunteer, it may be helping us to organize a group.
Absolutely.
That may be a volunteer
There's so many
act.
things that they can do to help.
So Alison, I've challenged you with chapters this year,
Yes, you have.
and I've asked you for 12 chapters this year,
Yes.
right?
We're about halfway there.
We're about halfway there, and it's not even June.
Right.
So
We've got some time.
you're killing
We've
it.
got some time.
You're killing it.
No, this is a group effort. This isn't just me.
And I think, by next year, I hope to add 24 chapters next year.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking, if my math is correct, that's 36 chapters in 24 months.
It's pretty good math right there.
Is that, yeah, I wasn't a very good student, so I do my best. But that would be huge. We're on our way to having representation in every state in the country.
Can you
Which is the
imagine
goal.
the amount of veterans and their families that we can assist?
That's awesome. To think 3 years from now, we could be in every state. USA Cares could be everywhere.
So if you're thinking about the strategic approach to this, I have to set and dream up these things sometimes, but what I see is you have all these groups of volunteers that are doing this. They're in contact with you and they're linked back to us. When we have, like, let's say our annual gala is going to be August the 7th. And we're going to have that here. We'll have
fun
here
event,
here
too.
in Louisville.
here
Yeah.
in Louisville. It's a
Yeah.
big deal. People have said it's one of the nicest galas in this region. We're going to simulcast that out to the chapters. So now you think about the fact of what we would do here normally with 500, maybe 600 people. Here is now going to be spread across the country.
They can have their own
Unbelievable.
little small group
Little
doing the same Same thing that we're doing.
And in
can watch it
Texas,
right
they're going to
there
be
on their
wearing
screen.
boots and jeans instead of tops.
Don't forget the cowboy hat.
Probably eating barbecue.
They'll be eating barbecue.
Barbecue's great. I like barbecue.
There's some good barbecue down there. Yeah, the events, these are not just a Louisville thing, and I want to stress that.
Right.
This is not a Louisville organization. This is not a Kentucky organization. This isn't even a Midwest organization. This is a national organization, and it's spreading so quickly. And there's really this movement going across the country of people who honestly are frustrated and tired and upset that people have served their country are coming back and struggling so much with such limited resources to help them. And that's where we collectively as a group stand up and say, we're done with this. We're not putting up with this anymore, and we're going to do something about it. And that's what I love about USA Cares. The immediate response. And Trace, anytime you're dealing with government, there can be red tape, there can be paperwork, there can be slowdowns, there can be all these things that get in the way. How is USA Cares different in its response approach?
Well, the government, the VA, they're doing, I'll defend them in saying they're doing the best they can do.
Right.
It's a big,
But it's a
huge,
big ship to turn around.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
huge. And there is a process. And so that process sometimes, while the people that are executing it have great intention and working hard, the process is very long.
Right.
With us, somebody reaches out. They fill out the application. It goes to our case managers. Case managers get a hold of it, evaluate it, gather what information they have to have. We don't just hand over money to veterans. We deal with the mortgage company.
Right.
We deal with the landlord. We deal with the utility company.
And there's a whole vetting process that happens in this.
This is not just, okay, let's give you some money.
Right.
We don't do that. That's not us. Other organizations might do it. We don't. We need to cure the problem. And so that's the first step of it. But we can usually do that in about 48 hours.
Unbelievable.
So over a weekend,
Yeah.
in some cases, somebody sends in an application, they start on it Friday, and they get some things put together. I've seen it to where Monday they've rectified the situation. And I can tell you this, we've seen situations where landlords know we're working on something, and maybe the veteran has to find their discharge paperwork, and they're having a problem. When USA Cares is involved and the landlord knows we're in the process, that stops it sometimes in itself because they know we're trying to help.
Wow.
So,
And then the stories that come out of these, we're talking to people, our caseworkers are talking to people who are at the lowest point in their life.
Yeah.
And they don't have many other places to go.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody else to turn to. And to hear those stories, Allison, years later, of how people rose back up out of that bad moment, that troubling time, and made something so strong out of their life. It's powerful.
It really is. It really is. And we see it all the time. And we've interviewed several of them, and they will tell you, I really didn't think I was going to be able to come out of this. And some people may think it's a small thing to help somebody with their mortgage. But it's not. It's huge to them. A military veteran so many times has so much pride that that's the last thing that they want.
Yep.
Is to be in that situation.
That's the hardest thing to do is ask for help.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
then you talk to them and they're so glad they did.
Absolutely.
well, imagine, anyone, just think about it if you have kids. Imagine, you're getting evicted. What do? You start thinking about, what am I going to do with the kids? You literally send your kids off to live with someone else.
Right.
You separate yourself to protect them, and they go live in a car. Or maybe they have a relative that they can hang out in their basement for a little while. But often, numerous stories about veterans living in their cars. We have a board member that was a veteran that went through this and lived in a car and had her child with her for a while.
Right. Very scary.
And
very
talked
sad.
about how, I had a chance to speak with her, and she talked about how she wished that she had known about, or an organization like USA Cares was available, and how quickly she would have jumped on that assistance if she'd known about it. And that's, getting back to the Chapters program, that's part of it too, right?
Absolutely.
Is just spreading the message that there's help, there's hope, It's all there. It's all available.
That's the biggest part of these chapters is spreading the word.
Yeah.
And you know what we actually failed to talk about?
Oh boy.
It's not just that we need these chapters in other states. We have an existing chapter, very small. They're getting ready to do a really small fundraiser in Lexington.
Horse country.
Yes.
Wow.
Why not have one there? Why not have one here in Louisville that can
You know,
help us with some of our events here?
It's incredible. It's right here in our backyard, right?
Right here in our backyard.
And we know the hearts of the people that live here and how passionate they are about their country and about those who serve their country. So what better place than getting it going? So there's another challenge right there.
Absolutely.
So we called out Florida. Now we're calling out Kentucky.
Yeah.
Let's get it going.
So our senior leaders that go through the transition program and we help them get jobs, I'm challenging them. If any of you hear this and you know who you are,
Don't use that creepy voice.
You know who
Oh,
you
that
are.
bothers me. Don't do that.
So if you're a senior leader and you've went through our program, I'm calling in a favor. We helped you when you needed help. I need you to help me start a chapter here. So I need you to contact me. And I know all of you text me all the time. So you know how to get a hold of me. I need you to contact me today and let's get a chapter going there.
And maybe it's not you that starts the chapter. Maybe you know somebody who would be really good at running a chapter and you can just help them get started. Maybe you can join it once it's started, but get involved. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. Let's get everybody involved and let's get this going. This is a true grassroots effort to make a difference for our vets.
I know that
I
this is
agree.
going to end in a second, and then people are going to listen to something else. They're going to do something else. They're going to move. I do not want them to forget. I'll start using the weird voice again.
Don't start doing that.
Do not turn off the radio. Do not go start doing something else and then forget all about this. I need it to stick in your mind when you lay down tonight and you start to go to bed. Think about what are you going to do.
Yep. There was a reason you listened to this podcast today. And there was a reason that you have something in your mind or in your heart that makes you sensitive to the struggle of veterans. So get involved today. Don't let this pass. Email Trace at trace@usacares.org. Email Alison at usacares.org with one L because she gets angry. and don't miss this. Get involved today. One other thing I want to mention, you Trace, you talked a little bit ago about Valhalla. Valhalla is a PGA course in Louisville, Kentucky. Amazing course that most people couldn't just walk up and play. You can't just call them and say, hey, I'd like to play today. They're going to be like, well, it's great. Get in line.
Sorry.
So what is this?
We have some business leaders in the community, some veteran and some not. The lead person on this, he is a veteran, and he's just very compassionate and wants to help. And so he helped get us started in this direction 3 years ago. This is the third year for the Valhalla event. But we have a handful of business leaders that really want to make a difference. This is how they're making a difference. And they're organizing and contacting their friends, their networks, and sharing information about this golf event, July 19th. Help me out here, right?
Yep.
Yes.
There's so many dates in my head.
Come on, Trace.
I know.
You know, a lot of times, don't be afraid to prepare for a podcast.
Yeah,
and
that would
maybe
be
have
helpful.
some dates jotted down.
That would be helpful.
So that you're ready to talk about
Yeah.
them. But, go
But
ahead.
it's a huge, this event raised $175,000.
At a golf event.
At a golf event. $175,000 last year.
What's
Wow.
their goal this year?
200.
That's what I thought. That's
Yep, they want to
That's a
raise
lot of money.
$200,000.
It's fantastic.
Two-
I think they'll do it. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. If we can use $2,000 to stop an eviction foreclosure, or maybe we're doing utilities or whatever. If they can raise $200,000, then we've just helped how many families?
And what if you get one of those going in each one of these states that we're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
What if you had 50 of those going at
Wow.
some point?
Yeah.
Can you
It's amazing.
imagine?
Yeah, then you're fixing the problem.
Yeah.
You are fixing the problem.
They are impacting lives.
Yeah. It's not, a lot of times people look at these issues and they say it's too big. I don't even, I'm not even going to start because it's too big. It's not something I can fix. Yes, you can. You can, and you can in your own backyard by getting your chapter started. And I just want to challenge anybody listening, get off the couch. Let's get this going. Let's get it started. Contact Alison today.
And it's not difficult. It really isn't.
Yep. So, all right. So we've got a lot of events coming up. We've got a lot of exciting things. We've got a lot of exciting guests coming up. I can't wait to share with you. We've got Ray Ann Pay coming up in the next couple weeks. We've got Kimberly Jean coming up in the next couple weeks. We've got some really powerful stories to share coming out of Texas and coming out of some different markets. Maybe we'll get Maury on from Colorado.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I'm noticing a theme here that it's powerful women.
Yep. You notice that?
Yep.
So
have you noticed our board lately? And if you haven't, go to the website and look up our people and then look up the board.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
And as a dad of all girls, that's important to me.
It's very impressive
to not ever limit the progress of women and not overlook the contributions that they've made in our military and in our society. So those will be some powerful conversations.
Yeah.
So good. Well, this is fun. Alison, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me today.
I hope it wasn't too scary to be on the podcast.
It wasn't too scary.
Yeah, except for Trace and his creepy voice.
Back.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, there you go. We got to return one.
I don't have a creepy voice, though, I don't think.
Try it.
No.
That's kind of creepy.
Trace, thank you as always.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. So tune in again next week, and we'll have another conversation about all the happenings around USA Cares. But if you have any questions, you can always email us at info@usacares.org. If you want to look at starting a chapter, email Alison, ALISON, @usacares.org. Check us out. Check out cruisecustomflags.com and get involved today. Thank you so much for your time, and we will see you next week.